This is our third pop-up circle on shamanism and gardening. Today we have Joe Maldonado of Griffin's Claw School of Practical Magic. And Joe is a known wizardess. She's an amazing incarnate fairy, and she can create sacred spaces in her garden like nobody else. And so I asked her to join us today because her work is just so exquisitely magical. And I'm going to turn it over to her now. Hello, Joe.
Hi, Carla. Wow, that is a lot of pressure to live up to all of that. Thank you so much. I'm very honored for you to say that. I love creating, especially my garden. The earth, the flowers, the nature out there. It's just, we blend in, and whatever kind of day I'm having, whether it's COVID virus, house arrest day, or grief day, or whatever, everything just goes away. As soon as I put my hands in the earth, it all goes down to the earth and it dissipates, and I am one with whatever I'm doing. And that's what I love about my gardening. And I don't know, it's just everybody's doing great magical things down in my garden. They're all the plants, the trees, everybody is really, really happy. So when they're happy, I'm happy, and it just we feed each other.
Great.
So I actually created a PowerPoint presentation of all my pictures and all my little garden nooks. May I share that with you?
Please.
Okay, so share a screen and we should be there. Now, are you all seeing this incredible presentation?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so these are all things that are in my garden, and we'll go through each of them separately. And I think it just depends on what your preference is, what makes you feel good, what empowers you, what brings you joy. And these are some of the things I've been collecting that bring you joy. Not everything is written out, but one of the big first steps that I have to constantly be aware of is to break free of misconceptions. Like, I cannot create a great place. These are like chains of other people talking around. Oh, no, you can't do that. You can't put a fountain in. No, we're going to put a septic tank in there. That's a whole story that actually Carla and I were talking about that the other day. And I will share that with you because maybe then this presentation, you'll understand where I'm coming from. But for the past 2 to 3 weeks, we were told that our septic tank was not good, that we needed another septic tank with a pump, and with, all these drain fields that were going to come in. I have a great little forest environment that I created over the last 8, 9, 10 years that we lived in that house. It surrounds my house. I love it. And everything was going to be knocked out with backhoes and lines, plus the price doubled. And I checked in with the fairies, like you were talking about fairies. The fairies were all freaking out, going, no, you can't do this. No, no, no. I have this one messenger cardinal that kept coming over and going, no, we got to do something about this. This can't be, because he feeds and sits in front of my kitchen window every day. So that couldn't be either. So there's a lot of misconceptions here. I'm forced by the city. I can't do this. A lot of things that are going around saying, nope, we got to do this. And here's my perfect sanctuary that's going to be all knocked out. So I did some journeys. I did some meditation. I talked to the water, talked with the fairies. I talked with the elements. And ta-da, we got word yesterday that they can go around all my plants, none of the trees, just one azalea bush is coming out, and I can take that out and move her over to another spot. And it's just such a great validation. So of course, lit a candle. Thank you. Thank you, all of the elements. Thank you, everybody, for helping me, because I did not do this alone. So break free of misconceptions. If there's something that's stopping you, go for it. It cannot stop you. What is in your heart, I think, is so much stronger, and the elements and the guides are all there to work with you. So my ideal space would be the picture in the middle over here, and then your imagination is your palette. So just touching upon A window in my bathroom that's really not a window, is just a wall over here. And that is a poster that's removable. Just put some 1x2s or 3s, around that. I had the leaded glass panes already, so they're just up on hinges, and the window opens or closes. And so I'm taking a bath, I could be right in the forest if I want to. So that's my imagination. And that's just something that the guide said, hey, you want to be in the forest? You can't be, but here you go. And the window opens and closes and I'm in there. And again, the fairies are such a huge part of my life, and I create. So talking to the elements, that's another big thing. And if you have any questions, there, like Carla mentioned, there's a little chat icon down there.
I'm not going to be able to see the chat while you're sharing screen.
Oh, okay. We could do chat after I stop.
Yeah, we'll have to do chat after.
Okay. So over on this page, the elements. What are the elements? Water. This is my Buddha statue with my koi pond. The earth, just a whole cool microscopic mushroom with dew on it that was growing in our garden. Fire over here from our fire pit with our dogs, and earth. So those are all your elements. Talk to them. I talk to the water to save my septic system from demolishing my land. Talk to your guides. Talk to the elementals. Fairies. There's just, I don't know. I just live among them, and I think it's true of anything. The more energy that you give something to, the better it gets. So the bigger it is. So if you're talking to the fairies, again, misconception, someone's going to say, oh, fairies don't exist. Well, if I'm talking to them and I see all this validation around me, well, you're not going to tell me that they don't exist, because I'm going to challenge you on that one. And again, these are just, other than the little fairy in the middle with the butterfly, the other two are both images of things in my garden. So how do you want your space to feel like? How big is your space? Do you have a little patio? Do you just have a front door? Do you have, an empty piece of ground? How do you want it to feel? Do you want it, butterflies are very zen-like. They're magical. They're light. They're airy. They float around, be one with them. They have such joy and purity and spirit. Do you want your garden to be whimsical? I combine all of these. So these are just little guys that I found at an estate sale that I had in a bucket for a long time. And I'm like, you know what? You guys are going out there. Go have some fun. This is my garden. So they pop up every once in a while in a tree or a bush. This one's by my front door in a planter. And inviting. This is just, I have this flag in front of my kitchen door because nature invites me, and it's, I was listening to something today that said, she was saying how when you want to feel empowered and magical, wear things that empower you, so my direwolf pin empowers me, my Griffin's Claw shirt, okay, that empowers me. Whatever empowers you, that's how it's going to bring you closer to what it is that you want to achieve in your environment, especially in your garden. So one of the things that I wanted to do in our garden was I wanted to give back to the land. So, our house was, I did a lot of really spectacular things inside, a lot of projects, and they were featured in different magazines and on different blogs and different websites, and that's great. So the house has its homage. I love my house. So, that's my sanctuary. But the garden, I felt the garden should have something, and I didn't know what it was, but I wanted to start giving back to the garden. So I just, Henry, I think actually my husband Henry found this little post that said, if you want to be a monarch sanctuary in our little tiny town of DeLand, all you got to do is have some free plants, that they were given away, and they'll come out, they'll take a tour of your gardens, and if you pass, then you become a certified monarch butterfly sanctuary. So ironically, things started happening. You see this box over here. It's called the Monarch Initiative. We were granted 2 boxes. It was sponsored by Full Sail College. and they wanted to propagate more monarchs in the community. So they were giving out these kits, had everything, seeds in it, and had the boxes. It just didn't have the dirt and the plants, which is no big deal. So, whoops. And so we got 2 of those boxes. Our town was giving away plants that attract butterflies for free. So we went to that. And then I signed up and I said, you know, I'd really love, you know, to have my garden be a certified monarch sanctuary. Tell me what I need. They gave me a list of plants. I had all of them already. I didn't have to get any plants. And a whole bunch of ladies came out and they combed every inch of the yard and they were all taking notes. You know, the elder lady had a clipboard and she said, okay, you pass. And I went, oh, I did. So I got a certificate, which is, I don't know why this keeps going there, but I had a certificate and we have an official sign. So now it was just moving on. We have lots of monarchs. Henry, my husband, started getting caterpillars and chrysalises, and now he has a butterfly house. And these guys are like going into their stages and we let them go out the door, and we have tons of butterflies. We have butterfly movies and it becomes so magical, especially when you're having breakfast in the morning and you're just sitting out there and you just look out the window and there's all these different butterflies. So I think that is very magical and enchanting. Your front entrance, I think, makes a big statement. And again, I know Carla said this is, you know, doing stuff with stuff that you have. So I haven't bought anything. The sign on the left, I'm a big Harry Potter fan. So the sign on the left, the 3 broomsticks, was a gift. That's by our front door. Paths are very inviting. I have lots of flowers by the front door that are growing. My pumpkin is my guardian pumpkin, as is my sigil. So they protect anybody that comes in the front door. You know, all these little things that you see by the front door, they're just part of the entrance. So when I walk in, I feel magical. So this is actually, the one on the left is our doorbell. It just makes me feel enchanting. It's outside, it's by the front door. You know, people have, you know, ADT and all these other, you know, commercial companies that protect your property. Mine's protected by gargoyles. So I love that. You know, it's just a little tiny sign that's in the middle, but it's right in the front as soon as you walk in. Other welcoming things, I love the green man. I think he is so special in gardening. So we do have, and have had it for quite some time now, our green man flag. The sigil, which I just mentioned, it's another good protection sigil that that I created. And of course, Enchanted Cottage, because that's how I feel. I feel my house is enchanted. So when I step in, that's what I'm seeing. Now, if you have a little space, these are all like flower pots and stuff. All my flower pots have little tiny fairy houses. Again, I just got given a whole bunch of you know, like they're like resin little fairy houses, a whole box of them. And I don't ever have anything go to waste. So I put them in all my flower pots in our lanai. So they're just, you know, they're welcoming. They're, you know, my little sign over here was also a gift that says welcome. It's a little fairy dude over here. This over here, actually, I bought a long time ago, and I believe it's supposed to be a birdhouse or a candle holder. So again, using stuff that I have, it's actually sitting on a Lazy Susan plate. I don't know if you can see that on here, but each section of the Lazy Susan plate has a different thing. So I have my succulents in there. I have a little path in there, little stones, a little bench. This is all stuff that I've had, feathers. You see the key to the fairy house over here. Fairies love little sparkly, jingly things, and I have a lot of that in our gardens. So it doesn't really matter whether your garden is big or whether your garden is small. You can make it as enchanting and wonderful as you want to, just based on what you have. So the little sign over here, Frogs and Fairies, it's just an area in my garden. You'll see what it looks like in a second, but I just wanted to pay a little bit more attention to it. This is a fairy garden stake, got it for free. Frogs and Fairies, I made the sign. I wrote on it. And of course, because I don't throw out anything, in the middle here, there are, you know, two frogs, one on top of each other. They're actually broken. The top of the frog is broken off. It's resin, but I just stuck some plants in it, you know, and I think plants love this kind of stuff. Fairies love this kind of stuff. And over here, these frogs I found on our property that are in the fountain. And what better place for a frog to be in than to just have a fountain like that? So here, let's see if I can just run it. So this is what the whole scene looks like. The fountain I found in our property. I found it when I was clearing out the yard, and I found it in pieces actually, and I realized it all went together. Here's our little frogs with the plant coming out of, you know, the little frog's head. The bricks I found on our property, they were covered up by weeds. Frog crossing, again, that was a gift from somebody, so I didn't buy that. There's our little fairy stake, my little frogs and fairies sign. And as you pan out, you go to the top. Here is that I found in the trash a broken lantern. It's just hanging there, but it kind of looks cute. So I think, again, it's, you know, what makes things feel magical, what makes things feel like they're put together, but they're really not. Another example of broken things, this, you can't see it that well, but it's all broken flower pots. I have a corner of my yard that the dogs keep going into. So I don't want them to go into, so I just started piling up broken pieces of pots on top of each other. And then I yanked some dirt, put some dirt around it, and I didn't even plant the plants. They just started growing. So this is like my well-used and loved corner that I have here. The fire pit, I know we mentioned fire before. This is a big project. It's not something we had. There was a hot tub in this section, which we never use because we're not hot tub people. So actually I did a trade with somebody. I gave them my hot tub for her water cooler. So she gave me, so now I get, you know, bottled water all the time, and they put the hot tub together. But when that happened, we just filled the area up with stone, and these are just pieces from Lowe's that we got. And this was an old fire pit that we had. We just had the bottom of it, and it's great. Everybody just loves the fire pit. That's inside the lanai for those that live in Florida. So then, like little statues and things, I think also, you know, help enchant your garden space. I have my protection owl. That was, I think, a $5 item at a yard sale. This was a gift, a tree of life. It just kind of hangs there and jingles. This is my three-headed dog also. Now, I've granted permission for these two to protect entranceways. So all my entranceways are protected. You know, I have a little chat with them. I do a little ceremonial thing with them, and they are good to go. That, like, nobody has really bothered us. There's my protected by gargoyles sign. And this is just a little fairy corner that I have. It's actually 3 pieces that I just piled on top of each other because they're all broken. So it kind of looks like one, and that's all over here. So collecting things that are broken. This little old horse, he just sits in our garden in the front because I think it's cute to have a miniature wooden solid horse just hanging out over your picket fence where your garden is. These are statues. A lot of them are broken, but they're all kind of clustered together. So maybe if you have things that are broken, like statues, or like this guy's missing part of his foot, that is part of a mushroom. This angel doesn't have a wing. This one lost her feet, I think, but you can't see that, you know, and to me, they're all perfect. And here's like bits of flower pots that are around them, you know, so they kind of sit on top of stubs and flower pots. And here is, I just love this crow. It was a Halloween item that I got years ago, but I kind of like him because he's my secondary backup doorbell. So when someone walks by, he has a sensor on him and he starts crying and the eyes light up. And it scares the crap out of people that are coming to my front door. I kind of like it though. This is also a little bird fountain. I can imagine, I've had it for years. It must be very old because it's solid metal, solid steel. It's very hard to move. And there is a feeding area here for the birds. And then this area here, which I didn't take a recent picture, but over here, because water was always accumulating and changing colors, I filled it with glass marbles that I had. I just had a jar of glass marbles, so I put them in there, and it looks very sparkly and very cute. And I'll have to update the picture on that one. And then just, you know, reaching out to the fairies and doing things with natural things like you have, like this picture in the middle. It's just pine cones. Yeah, there's a little bit of mulch and then flowers around this Norfolk pine. And that's the focal point. And right over here, you see that little tree of life that we just saw in the other picture. But this is now the focal point. It's just creating a little circle around it. And here, putting plants around a tree is always really, really, really charming. And this gal's been with me forever. She just, all my statues float around. They don't stay in one place because they get bored just like people do. So I move them. So she ends up being inside the lanai, outside in the garden where the mushrooms are. And then also the lanai. So I'm growing things. We have banana trees that line our privacy area right behind the lanai because I don't like people looking in. There's nobody back there but the fernery, but I still like privacy. So we started out with one banana tree, and then we just kept chopping the root and separating it. So now we got probably about 10 or 11 banana trees. And these are mini bananas, they're dwarf bananas, but they are so sweet and they're so delicious. And this is just like my crop from this year. We have an outdoor kitchen, so I've got stuff piled up outside. These containers are containers that I've been collecting for over the years. I didn't go out and buy these. Sometimes I use like plastic cups like you can see here, but I don't throw anything out. I just keep reusing it. So at one point I did buy plants in these, and then I just saved them, saved the trays, and then I just stuck seeds that were on sale and out of season. So love this. This is my loofah plant. Someone gave me a bunch of loofah seeds. So, you know, I just stuck them in the ground. Loofahs are incredible. I love the tendrils like you see here. I think they're so magical. And loofahs are really extraordinary because they start out with a flower like you see over here. And then they give you this vegetable. It's a squash plant. So it's kind of like a pumpkin or a zucchini. And you can pick it right then and eat it. Like, see, it's coming out. This is the flower. You can pick it right then and you can eat it, make a dinner or a side dish out of it. Or what I do is, whoops, sorry about that. I think I have a magical arrow here. Or what I do is you wait, you pick them off the vine. And when you pick them off the vine, you let them air dry until it turns brown. And then you peel it open and you have a loofah sponge inside. So this plant is so versatile. I adore it. And it's so graceful. So let's see, paths. I think paths are very, very inviting, and they're very, very enchanting too. Whoops. So here we have, it's actually pieces of slate I found on my property. So making them into a path, and leaves are on the ground. Just these are mums that come up every year, so I don't have to keep replanting them, and they just kind of grace the path and let it go around. Again, a path up here, and more mums that I've planted. This is the walkway or the path to our house. This little area over here is one of my dogs, Sydney, and another path, and it's just magical, when the plant just kind of graces our paths. And you get all these beautiful pink flowers coming down. It just looks very, very cool. So paths are a great thing. Table settings, I think, are important too. And I love, it's called Enchanted Living, but it used to be called Fairy Magazine. I don't know if anybody's heard of that, but it's a great magazine. And I have so many back issues because up until now, I haven't had time to read them, but now I do. So they're on just about all my tables. But this is just a plain wooden table. This was a before and after. This is the after version. The table was rotting, falling apart. So I had to do some wood putty and some stain and tons of coats of lacquer to seal it because it was going to be outside. And that's the way it is. And this little pot over here also was a gift. And I just think there's so much in detail that can make you feel magical and enchanted. We talk about the element of water. So here is, another fountain that we created. This used to be a hot tub with a very bad leak. So we took out everything out of there. We put in a liner. We built this kind of, I think we used cinder blocks with stone in front. It's just in the front of the fountain with a big piece of slate over it. And then again, I found tons of pieces of slate on our property. So I just piled them up, and it looks really enchanting. My koi love it. I think we started with 2 koi. Now we have 7. And these are just feeder goldfish that are now pretty big. And yes, the fish all have names. And I think it's just, again, you're grounding with water, that whole water element thing. So bad picture of me, but never mind me. Check out the flowers on the left-hand side. So this started out, this is an angel trumpet. This started out with one little tiny branch. So every time you break off a branch from an angel trumpet, you don't have to root it. You just stick it back in the ground. When you stick it in the ground, it becomes another tree. So we created this little, sorry again, but oh, well, I guess you're used to that by now. We created this little corner that's very magical. It to me, when you walk through this, it's an archway now. You walk under the angel trumpets and they're all blooming like this. You feel like you're in a different spot. To the right over here is, far away picture of just kind of the shape I love the shape of the ceiling. And this is a powder puff tree that will grow to 15 to 20 feet. And when it blooms, it's bright pink little puffs. And I love that because that makes that whole area feel very magical too. This is another Zen Buddha area where I do my yoga outside, and I like to look at either these guys or the fish pond on the other side with the Buddha on it. And it's just really, it's a bunch of stone that, I found. Sometimes, weeds and stuff grow in it, but that's just the way it is. These 2 lanterns that you see here, when we bought the house, they were taken off of our front columns, and rather than throwing them out, I kept them. They're heavy. They're got to be 50 pounds each. These are really, 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 really heavy. Whoops, backwards. And so they're just holding up the lion, which is laying there, which was also, I think it was like $20 at an estate sale. But all of this, to me, I just see things as objects and shapes. And I think, okay, I'm going to build like a triangle shape. And so what do I have? I have a lion on the top, and then I have the base of the triangle. I have the lanterns. What is this for? What is the purpose? It's for me to do yoga, to do meditations. Yes, these lanterns open up. I could put candles in them. At nighttime, it's really, really magical. So, it's practical, but it's just lovely. And it just brings so much to me. These are all pot things that you could do with pots. I do a lot of fairy stuff and little things. So if you only have a little tiny patio, you can go ahead and just, put your pots together. This glass dish over here is broken. The back of it is broken solid, and it's sitting on it's a drainage plate from another potted plant. And again, just made it, fairy stuff that I've collected over the years. And I just put it all together. The top of it does have plants on it. There's my little fairy girl on the bottom. This over here is actually, it's a Mexican taco bowl warmer. So you can take stuff from the kitchen. I never use it as that. Just filled it up with dirt. There's a head over here. There's a little fairy house, a globe, and then the succulents. And here's some more fairy houses. This little aloe plant over here, that's just a broken piece of a cactus ceramic that I had. And then the 2 houses over here, I think are really, really cool. I love them. But again, it's all, if you only have a little space to put pots on, that's what you do. These are grown in small containers. Again, I found these on our property. These, they look like window boxes. They're made out of terracotta. They're very heavy. Little succulents, you can grow little succulents anywhere. And that's what these guys are. And again, little fairy pieces that I had in my bucket. I collect birdhouses. So this is, I love this birdhouse because it kind of looks, you know, very Dumbledore, very Harry Potterish. And of course, right in the middle of that is Fox, which was a gift someone had given to me because they knew how much I liked Harry Potter. But what I found is I can actually use this to put air plants in. So this was the start of my air plant garden that I had in the bird cage. Another bird cage is I collect little tiny cute dragon figurines. So why not put them all together? This is a bird cage. You can stick all these guys in there, and you know, and it's home. Oh, like zipping through. So next is, I don't know. I know what I'm doing, but not really. Next is my little owls, because I love owls. It's a little white border. It's only about 4 inches big, but it keeps all the weeds from growing out, all the weeds from growing into my plants. And it's just really, really cute. This, I love this. This is my pineapple grove that I have inside the lanai. These were all cut from the tops of pineapple that I've eaten. So how do you do that? You just basically cut the top of your pineapple. You don't even have to like root it. I started doing that, but then I found you don't have to do that. Just like a lot of these other plants, you just stick it in the dirt and it forms its own roots. The roots are very, very shallow, but I should get about 15 pineapples this year from this little crop here. And when you do that, nature comes. We have little birdhouses and little feeders everywhere. And this is our friendly hawk that comes in. He's a very fat fellow, but it's my husband's car. My husband goes kayaking a lot. So he just perches himself right on the kayak and he becomes an ornament. And I love that. I think then we go over to furniture. I also believe that furniture this is our outside furniture, that I believe it should be part of who you are. And when all my flowers are not blooming, I like bright colors. I want my furniture to bloom for me. And this was paint. The rule was I could only use whatever paint I had in my garage. And whatever colors I didn't have, I mixed them together. So you can see up here on the upper left-hand corner, this is an old wrought iron outside chair. And then each of them was different because, you know, I had different degrees of paint that was left over. So they're all different colors. And I actually love it that way. I think it's very cool. And, you know, it feels very whimsical and feels very enchanting. So again, the close-ups over here, this is a before and after. The little table that was standing over there. So step one was painting it with my leftover paints. With bright colors that I had. And then over here, you see the little pattern. I just decided, this is just magic marker, by the way. So I had, this is all, you had to use what I had on hand, and I didn't buy anything. So yes, I did. Polyurethane sealer. I bought that. That's the only thing I bought. So this is just magic marker that I drew onto this table up here. And then this was a fairy house that was gifted to me. And I just think it looks really, really cute with all the flowers that are drawn. This is also a table. You know, this is the after magic marker and polyurethane. This is a rose, magic marker. They're all magic markers. And then I went a little bit bigger. I got obsessed with my mailbox, which was a plain column, as you could see over here on the left-hand side. So that's what it looked like before. This is the front of the mailbox now. That's our address, really big, big as bold over here. And here's me working on what ended up to be my owl on the right-hand side in the post. You will also note that Edmund, my gargoyle, kind of guards our post and our property. He has access to the front, so he's our front guardian. But that's what the mailbox ended up looking on the side. So this is the side that faces the road. And I get hunks thumbs up. I get, yo lady, I like it. You know, I get a lot of different comments on the mailbox. This is actually the back of the mailbox. And down here are the actual coordinates. Like if you look on a map, this is where our house is located. So if you ever want to come and visit and you don't have my address, you just copy the mailbox numbers. And this, the wings and the compass actually is, you know, a spin-off of the kiddish games over at Harry Potter. And the crow, one of my guides. So I had to honor Crow, and he's facing the side that comes in through the gate when you enter. So I think that's it for my pictures. So if Carla said, make this known, so I'm making this known. I also have a school of magic. It's called Griffin's Claw, the School of Practical Magic, because I believe that magic is everywhere, and our professors are specifically chosen to teach courses that are run very close to the Hogwarts curriculum. But they're done in real time. They're real things. If you should happen to need to look me up, this is our website is down here. All our classes are now online. And up here is the Facebook, Instagram, and the YouTube. So that concludes it, Carla, because I know you have a lot of stuff to do too. Did I talk fast enough? Oh, you have to unmute yourself.
Yes, that's great. Please stop share.
Will do. Hi.
Great.
Yes.
Wow. So I hope you guys enjoyed that tour of Joe's magical and enchanted garden. And if it's okay with you, what I would like to do is drum for you for a very short journey where you can connect with the fairies and the diva of your garden, which we did in the first class. And not everybody was there, of course. Let's drum, let's journey, and let's ask the fairies and the divas of our garden to come and give us an inspiration for one thing we can create that's a sanctuary spot for us, so that when we're finished with this call, we can get all inspired and go get our stuff and create a sanctuary spot. Now, I have done this several places in my new house. I have a new house. I've only been in a year, and I'm just brand new. So I'm putting in other plants and on all of that. But so far, I've created a pond sanctuary, and I've got places outside where the natural world meets the interfaces with the yard world, and I'm making magical interfaces there. And the result of it is that I have a beautiful pack rat population. Some people would call this a problem, and the raven who lives here now and lives on the pack rats believes that it's a gift. I trap them as quickly as I can, though, and I rehome them. Okay, so let's drum. And what you should do if you don't know how to do shamanic journey, just go to a place in nature that you love in your yard or on your lanai, and ask the spirits of that place to come and meet you. Greet them, make an offering. Thank you so much for being with me. Help me imagine the sacred space that we together can create, given we're working with what we have. Because as you know, in these COVID times, nobody has any money and nobody can go out. So you have to work with what you have. All right, here we go. I'll drum for about 8 minutes. Welcome back. I know where I'm headed after class. I am going down to the wholesale nursery. Yes, and I'm going to get one of those fabulous daturas, those angel trumpets. I don't think it's a datura actually, but apparently we have them here in Phoenix. And I've gotten, and they showed me arbor and on Facebook, everything the spirit showed me.
Oh, lovely.
Oh,
I wish I could. Actually, I probably could just mail you a couple pieces and they would be fine by the time you got
yeah. Okay.
them.
So anyone who would like to comment, you can feel free to throw yourself off of mute and just speak. That's the easiest way. If you have questions for Joe or things you'd like to share from your journey.
I know we had a couple comments here too.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing your beautiful garden. I mean, you've created a wonderful world. And at least in my understanding and in my own practice, that's something that I really, really encourage, is that we create the world we live in. Mm-hmm. And you are essentially creating in your garden that world that you want to live in. That you can translate to everything else in your life, you know?
Yes, thank you. I do live there. It's my living space, my sanctuary. Thank you.
Right. Now, if you could just sort of telepathically zap over that knowledge of how to draw, that would be really cool. Could you do that, please?
Yeah, you got it.
Hey, listen, you know what? You can always cheat.
You can cheat, but I'm just, I hear, okay, make a line to the right, and then I go for the line to the right. I hear red, purple, I do red, purple. I just follow whatever I hear.
Actually, there is a great way of cheating. There's a site that artists sell their graphics, and I buy stuff from them all the time.
Oh, that's nice.
Clip art things of flowers and all sorts of stuff. You could blow it up and create a template and trace it down. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. When I want a specific look for something, that's exactly what I do. Otherwise, I just wing it. See what happens. It's surprising how beautiful it comes out.
Nanu actually is a very skilled artist, and so is Steve. Her husband is amazing. He's very talented, both of them.
Steve's an artist. I just craft, and sometimes some stuff looks good.
That's good. It's you.
Sometimes.
Now, the beauty of these garden spaces is that they do bring us into connection with spirit, and they heal us. Being out in the garden, even sitting and reading, or the reality is those of us who love to create gardens rarely just hang out in them. Are you kidding? We're busy with the weeding, doing, with the fussing, The fantasy is you sit there and read in your garden. The reality is you're in and acting in your garden. And that's beauty. That's the beauty of it. Now, you had said that this was about creating your life.
Yeah.
And I really believe that. Grandmother Sunflower, my sacred teacher, gave me a whole series of shamanic work that I can do with spirit to create my life using a garden in the journey space. And so that's intention for what it is that I'd like to do, how I'd like to get support with various sections of my life, with my family, with my business, with my horses, whatever. And then I go into the garden in non-ordinary reality, and I plant seeds that have been fertilized by dragons.
Wow.
And this is what we're going to do at the next pop-up circle on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific.
At what time Pacific?
10 a.m. Pacific.
Okay.
Same time, 1 o'clock for y'all, and 10 a.m. for me. And we're going to do shamanic soul gardening.
That sounds amazing. I look forward to that. Thank you, Carla. That's really beautiful.
You're welcome. And it's really fun. And what I found is that when I do that, and things in my world really change. So if I have a relationship that's going sideways, you know, sometimes your close relationships go sideways, especially with family, don't you know?
Never.
Never happens.
No.
When I have a relationship going sideways, I'll go into the soul garden and I'll ask to see what that relationship looks like in the garden. And maybe I see a tree that's fallen over because it's got oak rot. Or maybe I see a fence that's fallen down, you know, whatever it is. And I ask the spirit, what do we do? And then we clean it all up and we repair it. We make compost of the stuff that needs to be compost. And then we create a new garden situation.
Wow.
And I do that all in the journey. And when I come out, the relationship is repaired.
Wow.
That is really, you know, I never considered that. I've only started gardening, well, seriously gardening, like paying attention to watering and stuff like that. About 3 years ago. And I'm really enjoying the connection. I get surprises all the time from my garden, from bugs, from the flowers, from the plants. One of the plants told me, Rosemary told me that she's related to me. Okay. Oh. Yeah. And then I find out that my father's mother's family name is Romero, which means rosemary in Spanish. I mean, even just repeating this now, my hairs are standing up, you know? So this has really encouraged my relationship with my garden. And now, I mean, I post my stuff on Instagram because I'm sending pictures to everybody all the time and I blow up their phones, you know? Not everything grows the way I expect it to. Not everything blooms the way I expect it to. As a matter of fact, the tomatoes I planted last year, I actually got fruit from them this winter. And that's, I'm like completely blown away from this because they're supposed to be a summer plant. But I am in Texas, so I'm relearning all this stuff from my land too. The spirits of the land have their own timetable. And so I'm really looking forward to your class. Thank you. I mean, I'm blown away. Thanks.
You're welcome. I look forward to offering it. Yeah.
It was such a pleasure to be here with you. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
What was your favorite picture from Joe's garden? What was your favorite thing that you saw?
For me, I've been to Joe's garden. So it's been a while. I can't say that I have a favorite spot now because I haven't been there in a couple of years since we moved to Texas. But the times that I've been there, I can't say that there's a favorite spot because everything has its own different energy and you have different beings in different corners. So that's different conversations right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think my favorite is the fish pond though, because I got a thing with water.
Yeah. Those are my babies. I love those guys. Yeah. Our family.
My favorite are the banana trees.
You know, I must tell you, Enoch, my dog who's asleep over there, Enoch and I enjoy the bananas. As Henry cuts them down in big bunches, we pile them all up on a table and then I break them because I freeze half and then I use some right away. And Enoch and I we end up eating most of the bananas before they go anywhere. We just sit there. Here, you have one. She has one. I got one. I mean, they're so little, only about this big, but they're so sweet. They are delicious. And we just have a blast when he picks the bananas, and they go ripe. And then we have plantains too, but I prefer the bananas. The plantains I use for cooking and making things.
I love plantains.
Yes, they're very good. Very good. Does anybody
Florida
else
is
have
a great environment for all your tropicals. Yes.
Yes, I know. And my herbs do great there. You know, they all, I didn't go into all the herbs, but I have tons of herbs. You know, we just, you know, in the morning when I fill the dog water bowls, they each get a sprig of mint in their water, which is great for their digestive system.
What
It's
a great idea.
Yeah, it refreshes their breath. And they actually, some of them eat it. Some of them eat the mint, you know, and then they drink the water from the mint. So, yep, lots of great things you can do with your garden. Garden gives back to you.
A whole nother gardening front, which I just want to put out there because I think I don't have a pop-up circle about it because I don't know enough about it and I don't really know anybody who does, but microgreen gardening.
Yes.
And I'm telling you what, I don't need to do a pop-up circle. You just go to YouTube. I woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning. I was up from 1 till 3 watching YouTube videos on microgreen gardening.
Yeah, I saw that the other night and I started watching that too. And I'm going, wow, this is so cool. You know, the lettuce and I mean, everything that you could do with all that. So amazing.
And we really need to be on top of this because our food supply is threatened right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I am not worrywart Carla. I am not, but I'm worrywart Carla. And I want to make sure that I have delicious, fresh, nutritious food that I can absolutely guarantee I'm going to have.
Yeah.
And the way to do that is grow it.
Exactly.
And growing in Phoenix, to start a garden in Phoenix this time of year is like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
It's going to be 103 on Sunday.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it's a dry heat, which means all your sweet little plants go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start microgreen gardening.
Yep.
And
that's
I've
a great
got
idea.
A place here. I can have my light. I mean, done.
Yeah. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you could even grow them if you just have a good window. I mean, you can put a whole shelving system right in front of your windows and you'll have them growing right there.
Yeah.
I also grow, I don't grow microgreens, but I do grow the cat oats, like the pet greens.
Yeah.
And I clip those and put them in their food, and alfalfa sprouts too.
Ah, yes. That's a good one. Yep.
Sprouts, I've gotten really good at sprouts. Oh yeah, a sprout queen. With the jar, it's so easy. Microgreens is my next challenge.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. Well, that'll be a pop-up circle. What happened to Carla's microgreens?
Haha. Well, speaking of circles, I would like to share with you that on May 5th, I am beginning my intensive program, Shamanism for Animals. And it's a 12-week course. You can begin with Shamanism for Animal Communication. And we go through all the general, the common situations that you'll have in animal communication settings. And we use the shamanic journey to connect with the animal. So it's a 3-way conversation between the animal, you, and your spirit guide. So you can get complete perspective. And the next 6 weeks, we fix the problems. We do shamanic healing for the animals. So that's a 12-week intensive shamanism course. It gives you an introduction to shamanism and shamanic journeying. And it begins May 5th. You can find all about it on SpiritHealer.com and look under, you can look at the events and see it there, or you can go under the school and find Shamanism for Animals. And I will post that on this video as well. So there's my advertisement. But if you do not know how to do the shamanic journey, I have a free class available on my website, SpiritHealer.com. And as well, I have an on-demand course for learning shamanic journeying into the 3 worlds that is $39, and you can watch it all day long and become proficient at merging with your sacred tree, connecting with your power animal and your teacher, and visiting the worlds. So there you go, SpiritHealer.com, SpiritHealer School of Shamanism. And yes, I am a professor on Griffin's Claw. So
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Carla actually there was a recorded class that is still available. The Magic of the She, SIDHE, did I pronounce it correctly? That is available. And then we also have a lot of other recordings that are available. And like you're doing a free class, we also do our weekly free class on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard, which conflicts with your 10 a.m. Pacific, I think. But that's every Wednesday. I have someone come in for half an hour and we do a little chat.
Great.
Yes. Thank you so much, Carla. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. This was so much fun sharing.
Bless you. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, we appreciate you too. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thank you all. Be blessed, ladies.
Thanks for watching. I'm Carla with SpiritHealer.com. Join us. Come to Spirit Healer and join our email list, and you'll be invited to all our pop-up circles and every wonderful thing we offer with the Spirit Healer tribe. Thanks for watching.